Welcome to Anvil Airsoft TV in association with TaiwanGun.com. In this episode, we're going to be looking at and range testing the Double Eagle UTR45. This is a replica of an LWRC SMG 45. Keep watching, find out more about it, how it performs, and just how far it can shoot. TaiwanGun.com have sent me this Double Eagle UTR45 to review for their channel. So let's take a look at what you get in the box. The replica itself. One mid-cap polymer magazine, more on that later. A cleaning rod, folding polymer backup iron sights, a hand stop, two grip panels, the charging handle and two sections of Picatinny rail. An alternative magazine release, the Allen key and all the screws you need to fit the accessories. A Deans to Tamiya adapter in case you don't have any batteries wired to Deans, a Deans plug and heat shrink to convert a battery, a small manual and TaiwanGun.com test certificate. The replica is made mostly from fibre reinforced injection mouldings, alloy die castings and a few steel parts. The polymer parts include the monolithic upper receiver, the lower receiver, the backup iron sights, trigger, pistol grip, the magazine, fire selectors and the stock. The alloy and aluminium parts include the thread protector, outer barrel, bolt releases, the mock bolt carrier and the charging handle. The steel parts include the guide rods and springs. The gearbox is a version 2 with a true quick change spring system. It has 8mm steel ball bearings and a rotary hop. Battery connection is via a Deans plug. The replica comes fitted with a Falcon optical MOSFET with user programmable fire modes and battery protection. We'll go through the features of the MOSFET later in the episode. So let's have a look at the features of the UTR45 and we'll go tip to butt as usual. Right at the front we have a thread protector covering a standard 14mm CCW thread so that you can fit suppressors and tracer units of your choice. Then we have the polymer flip up front sight. This is easy to deploy quickly when needed. The front sight post itself is adjustable for elevation. To raise the point of impact, rotate the dial counterclockwise, and to lower the point of impact, rotate the dial clockwise. They're fitted using this bolt and placing over the rail. Finally, on top of the stowed unit is an emergency front sight blade. The nylon handguard has pick rail at the 12 o'clock position and modular slots at the 3, 6 and 9 o'clock positions. Double Eagle have supplied two sections of pick rail to attach where you want, as well as two grip panels and a hand stop. They are attached via screws into the threaded holes in the handguards. The holes themselves have metal inserts to add some strength. Under the handguard you'll find a set of mock working parts which are a great addition and shows attention to detail. I'm a fan of replicas that look like they would actually work. You have the choice of attaching the charging handle on either side. To do that, place it serrated side forward into this slot on top of the working parts and push it in till it clicks. To remove it, it's easiest to use a small Allen key like the one supplied and push it out from the other side. The upper receiver is integrated into the handguard and is very nicely moulded. The top rail runs continuously, allowing plenty of space for optics and accessories like lasers. The rear polymer flip up sight has two apertures with a ghost ring for close engagements. It is adjustable for windage via this dial here. To adjust the point of impact right, turn the dial clockwise. To move it left, rotate the dial counterclockwise. The rear emergency sights are located on top of the stowed unit. They are fitted using this bolt and placing it over the rail. Most of the controls will be familiar to anyone that's used an AR style replica before. The fire selector is ambidextrous and has 3 positions: safe, semi and full auto. You can program in burst settings instead of full auto. The mag release is like that on an MP5 and falls under the thumb of the support hand. The magazine supplied is 120 BB mid-cap, polymer, and patterned after the real H&K 30 round UMP magazine in 45 ACP. This is a big pistol round compared to 9mm, and that means the magazine needs to be relatively big too. Pulling back on the charging handle reveals the hop up unit. To add hop, you turn the dial down, and to remove hop, you turn it upwards. Once you've set the hop to your satisfaction, you can use the ambi bolt releases on either side of the receiver to release the mock bolt carrier. The pistol grip has comfy overmoulded rubber grip panels. The ACR style stock mounts onto the back of the upper receiver. It has 6 positions from all the way in and all the way out. To adjust it, you push on this lever here and pull. There are 2 QD sling sockets, one on each side. The stock can be folded to the right side by using this push button. This is intended mainly for transport and storage as it exposes the battery wiring, but it could be used if you're in a tight spot. With the stock folded, you can access the quick change spring system. To get to it, remove this screw and the cap. The quick change spring is then accessible. Push it in, rotate 90 degrees, and then carefully remove it to the rear and slide out the main spring. When unfolding the stock, be careful not to nip the wires as it latches into place. The stock also has an adjustable cheek riser with 4 positions. Lift into position, and then to stow it, you press down on this button and put it back into place. The battery storage is accessed by fully extending the stock and then pressing this button and sliding off the rear. When you insert a battery, it needs a bit of careful arranging. However, we've managed to fit both these 11.1 volt and 7.4 volt LiPo batteries, which are both about 100mm long. The wiring terminates in a Dean's connector, and an adapter for mini Tamiya is supplied. Due to the space constraints, I would recommend using a Dean's connector battery. To replace the stock, put it back on, be careful of the wires, push down on the button, and adjust to your desired length. So now we've talked all about the features of the Double Eagle UTR45, let's take it to the range and see how it performs. Welcome back to Thurleston Airgun and Archery Centre. We're going to be range testing the Double Eagle UTR45. To do that, we're going to be using these electronic attack sense targets that flash when they're struck by a BB. That way you can see and I can see when I've hit a target. Okay, today we're going to put them out at 30, 40, 45, 50 and 55 metres. Let's get going. Okay, so we're going to do the accuracy and range test with the UTR45, and we're going to shoot BLS 0.3 gram BBs. That's the BB we found has the best balance of range and power. I've got my targets at 30, 40, 45, 50 and 55 metres, and we're shooting for mainly for effective range. We class effective range as being able to land half your shots, so 5 out of 10 shots onto a torso-sized target, and the attack sense targets very handily are torso-sized. Right, so let's get going. So then again, set the hop for 3s and then chrono. Okay, let's chrono. 247, 250, 248, 246, 246, 249, 253, 250, 250, 251, 250, 249. Right, close to meet at target. So, effective at 30 metres, now we'll move on to 40. Okay. Just about effective at 40 metres. Let's move on to 45, see how we get on. So though I can land some shots onto the target at 45 metres, it's not effective. I'm not getting 50% of them. So I think we can safely say that the effective range of the UTR45 is 40 metres with these 0.3 gram BLS precision BBs. Now we'll just fire some shots for maximum range, just to see what it looks like. To do that, we'll do some full auto bursts and try and strike the last two targets. There we go, and the maximum range, 50, 55 metres. Great stuff. Back to the studio. We're going to have a look at the Falcon Digital Firing Control System 2. This is an optical trigger MOSFET built into the gearbox itself. Really amazing bit of technology for something at this price. So you can do three things with this. You can change your full auto mode from 1 to 5 shots in a burst. You can adjust the trigger sensitivity, and you can put on a binary trigger. So let's go through how to do all of those. First things first, we need to connect a battery. First thing we're going to do is adjust the burst fire in full auto mode. Any number of shots between 1 and 5. As well as having a burst mode instead of full auto, you can also set it to fire a single shot in full auto as well. Great if you go into a site which only allows semi-automatic fire. So to do this, first thing we do is put the lever to the safe position, pull the trigger and hold for 3 seconds, and then we release the trigger after the rifle starts vibrating. We pull the trigger one more time. And now it's in mode 1, which is ready to set the amount of shots. So if we want to shoot one shot, we just pull once. And then move the lever to auto. And now, instead of firing full auto, it will only fire one shot. Okay, let's do that again, but this time we'll put on a 3-round burst. So we hold the trigger for 3 seconds. Okay, we press it once to go into shot select mode. And we press the trigger 3 times for 3 shots. 1, 2, 3. 3 shots. Change to auto, and this time when we pull the trigger, fires 3 shots. It will fully fire all 3 shots, even just on a tap of the trigger. I'm going to go back to full auto, fire selector and safe, press and hold for 5 seconds. You'll hear 3 beeps. Keep holding it until you hear a tone. Okay, and when we go back to automatic, we're back to full auto fire. Okay, so the next thing we're going to have a look at is the trigger sensitivity, mode 2. Again, trigger in the safe mode. Pull the trigger for 3 seconds till we get the beeps. 2, 3. Pull the trigger twice. Pull the trigger once will be high sensitivity. So when we go to semi, you can see the trigger pull has been reduced. So we'll do that again, but return it to standard mode and we can see the difference. Press and hold for 3 seconds. Trigger twice for mode 2. And we'll pull the trigger 3 times for standard mode. Into semi, and you can see how much further you have to pull the trigger. So we have 3 settings: high sensitivity, middle sensitivity, and standard sensitivity. The last thing we're going to do is we're going to go to mode 3, so back to safe. This is your binary trigger, which means it fires when you pull the trigger and also when you release the trigger. Some sites and game organisers may not let you use this, so it's well worth checking before you do so. So back to safe. Pull the trigger for 3 seconds. Mode 3, 3 times. Put the trigger to the semi position. And this will fire 1 shot every time you pull and then release the trigger. And cancel the function. Move to safe. Put and hold the trigger for 3 seconds. Pull the trigger 3 times again. That's then returned it to normal mode. And that's how we program the Falcon fire control system. So we're going to separate upper and lower receivers. To do that, so a couple of things. To push this pin out here. Pretty tight fit, not captive. So unlike a lot of AEGs, we also need to take these 2 bolts out here. To do that, we need a T20 bit. Same on the other side. Done that. Separate the upper and lower. Take out the barrel and hop unit. Look at that in a minute. And then we'll carefully put aside the upper. So the upper has these 2 guide rods with the springs on. Just be careful when you separate the upper, these don't go flying off. They're loose. And the guide rods themselves are also loose as well, but it is pretty obvious. Rotary style hop. Nicely crowned on the end. About see the hot rubber as well. There we go, and that's the hot rubber coming down. Quick change spring, unfold, spring is here. Take this cap off. This bolt holds the spring guide in, that bolt holds this cap in. Take the cap off, you can see the back of the spring guide. Push it in, rotate 90, give it a bit of sugar. Comes out the back. Put that down as well. So we have a nice bearing spring guide. Also feed the stock out the back. Good. Very basic, absolutely fine. 2 screws in the bottom of the pistol grip, get a really good fit and grip on them with your screwdriver, very easy to strip. Fit. Got a grub screw, fire selector. Gearbox pin. You take these out by the bolt release levers. They are tiny, so be super careful. Take this grub screw off. Okay. There we go. Hold this spring down so we can go flying across the room. So we've already got some radiusing at each of the corners. That's your gearbox. You can see the top board of the Falcon fire control MOSFET in here. So we'll just pop the shims back on where they should be, so we know where they came from. Lube looks good, not too thick, not too thin. Let's have a look at the components in here. So pull the top board off here, see the trigger and the bottom board, optical sensors. Tooth already removed on the back. 3 release teeth, plastic vented piston head. Cylinder's nice and smooth. Single O-ring piston head. Good with that. Sector gear. What's good to see is it's not covered in grease. An optical MOSFET, so it's covered in grease, it can cause a problem when it throws grease all over the sensors. Bevel gear. Very standard MIM, metal injection moulding parts. Nothing wrong with those. And you've got to remember, this is a relatively budget gun. So let's seal her up, have a look at the shimming. And the shimming, really nice for a stock gun. That I'm very happy with. It's been really nice, well built, well thought out, really interesting design. Obviously the highlight inside is the optical MOSFET, a really great addition, particularly having an optical one at this price point. The components are as you would expect, but they're absolutely fine, absolutely solid. Really impressed. I hope you enjoyed this overview and range test of the Double Eagle UTR45. Courtesy of TaiwanGun.com. We think it's a great, low-cost, PCC style replica suitable for anyone looking to do a modern PMC type loadout. If you want to see more from me, then head over to Anvil Airsoft TV on YouTube, and you'll find more than 100 videos to watch on a huge range of subjects. Thanks again to TaiwanGun.com for making this review possible. Stay safe, and we'll see you next time.